Bad boys, bad boys.
Hey,
what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we come back?
We fly together, we die together.
What?
If you left the theater as the credits started to roll after Bad Boys for Life, you might have missed the interesting mid-credit scene. The scene is only 30 seconds long, but it gives the franchise a surprising direction to move in for future installments. But don't worry, if you didn't catch it, because here at The Binger, we're ready to tell you all about the mid-credit scene and what it means for Bad Boys 4. Bad Boys excited fans with action, comedy, crime, and amazing chemistry between its two leads. The first film was released in 1995, while the follow-up came in 2003, leaving fans to wonder if a rumored third installment would ever officially be released. January has a reputation for being the month when studios release films that they don't think are going to do very well. So when Bad Boys for Life got a January release date, fans were thinking that the third entry in the franchise, which comes 17 years after the second, was fated to be mediocre at best. Well, to our pleasant surprise, Bad Boys for Life is great. It captures the charisma of the first two installments and even explores the backstories of our favorite characters. It's currently sitting pretty with a 77% freshness rating from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's reached the very top of the January box office. So does this mean that the Bad Boys franchise will continue with yet another sequel? If the mid-credits scene and the film's success are anything to go by, then most definitely. But what exactly can we expect from Bad Boys 4? Narcotic detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett, played by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence respectively, make their return in Bad Boys for Life with a not-so-nice surprise. There's now a vendetta against Mike courtesy of the film's big villains, Isabel Aritas and her son Armando Armas. It turns out that when Mike was in the police academy, he was chosen for an undercover mission that left him in a bit of a sticky situation. He became a driver for the Aritas drug cartel in order to infiltrate their operation and met Isabel, the wife of the cartel kingpin, in the process. Their relationship ended up getting pretty complicated, evolving into a close friendship and then into love. The pair even talked about running away together. The film also illustrates that Isabel played a big part in Mike becoming more confident and sure of himself. So, when the police finally came to raid the cartel, Mike had to make a hard choice and decide whether he should prioritize the law or love. Ultimately, the law won because Mike thought that Isabel was too brutal to be a free woman, no matter how much he loved her. He makes the hard decision to give her up and let her get arrested. She eventually gets broken out of jail by her son Armando. But the big surprise the movie drops on us is that Isabel's son is also quite deeply connected to Mike. It turns out that when Isabel went to prison, she was pregnant. She was waiting to tell Mike until they were far away and safe from the cartel. So Armando, who has been trying to eliminate Mike this whole time, is actually Mike's son. Isabel never told either of them the truth, so Armando has grown into a ruthless and cold assassin who thinks that he has to get revenge on Mike for eliminating the man who he thinks is his father, the cartel kingpin. Armando demonstrates his immense anger by taking out high-ranking officials and even injuring Mike. But the real threat here is Isabel, who controls what her son does without even telling him where he really comes from or who he really is. She is a puppet master who feels great anger at Mike for abandoning her after they had shared so many intimate things with each other. This is where the final credits scene connects with the film. In the final battle, Armando and his father have a pretty serious conversation. Mike doesn't want to hurt his son, so he decides to try talking things out first. Mike admits to being his father, and when Armando doesn't believe him, Isabel surprisingly confirms it. Then, when Isabel tries to take a shot at Mike, Armando blocks it with his own body, proving that it is Isabel's anger that has been a driving force of his crimes this whole time. He gets pretty seriously wounded thanks to his sacrifice, but that's not the end for Armando. The mid-credits scene shows him alive and well, but locked up in a prison cell. Mike visits him in the scene and has a pretty surprising proposition for him, an opportunity to work with him to pay back his debt to society and reduce his prison sentence. Does this mean that Mike forgives his son for his transgressions and wants to become a proper father figure? We can't imagine that Mike's forgotten all the pain Armando has caused, considering that the biggest and most surprising loss in the film is that of Captain Howard, and that was entirely Armando's fault. Mike, Marcus, and the entirety of the Miami PD can't be happy with how things turned out, but Mike must really need his son for whatever he's got planned, or maybe he just feels really guilty about unknowingly abandoning him before he was even born. Mike did promise Armando when he was arrested that he would be there for him during his punishment to make up for not being there for him during any of the other hard things he's had to experience in his life. Not that it was Mike's fault, but we're sure he can't kick the feeling that he's somehow responsible for his son ending up in prison. Plus, Mike genuinely loved Isabel despite her flaws and probably wants to honor her memory by taking care of their son. By teaming Meeting up with Armando for a mission, it seems that Mike has decided to bridge their two worlds and teach his son about being on the right side of the law. Armando's action in saving his father's life demonstrates his willingness to try and change to become a better person and gain a family in the process. Jacob Scipio, the actor who portrays Armando, does an amazing job of capturing the character's ruthlessness and also the pain he's been through after being lied to by his mother and growing up fatherless with his mother behind bars. This quick scene between Armando and Mike is a perfect example of what kind of emotional depth and complex plot we can expect from a follow-up to the film. So what's the big chance at redemption that Mike's offering his son? We can't say for sure, but there are some hints throughout the film that point to what a Bad Boys 4 will look like. While Bad Boys for Life is mainly about bringing back beloved characters from the first two films, the film also introduces us to a brand new team. The task force is called AMO, which stands for Advanced Miami Metro Operations. It's part of the Miami PD and headed by Rita, who also happens to be Mike's ex-girlfriend. The team also includes agents Kelly, Raph, and Dorn. By the end of the film, the team has been disbanded for seriously messing up on a raid, but they still play a very important role in the final battle. Rita even ends up being the one to ultimately take down Isabel Arites. Then, after the loss of Captain Howard, she's named the new captain of the operation. In the final scene, Mike makes a reference to his friends from AMO, suggesting we'll probably see them again. So, did Rita use her new position and power to re-establish the group? It is very likely that Mike and Marcus will need a good team by their side for whatever the sequel has in store, and that they'll lead AMO on future mission. Plus, after the success of Bad Boys for Life, we're sure that most of the cast will be happy to return for Bad Boys 4. With the hype surrounding some of the performance, like Vanessa Hudgens in the role of Kelly and Paula Nunez as Rita, there's potential for the AMO team to pick up the Bad Boys mantle even if Will Smith and Martin Lawrence decide to retire. We definitely don't want to lose Mike and Marcus in the iconic roles, but a spin-off series could be a great way for the Bad Boys universe to extend in different directions and build upon the story of some of our favorite AMO members. And speaking of retirement, will Marcus even be back for another installment since he tried to retire during Bad Boys for Life? The film showed Marcus tiring of his lifestyle and trying to keep up with Mike, which makes sense since Will Smith somehow manages to look like he doesn't age. Martin Lawrence is still looking pretty young, but the film made a good choice by exploring Marcus's realistic need for some downtime. Still, we're pretty sure that Marcus is down to be a bad boy for a little while longer. In the final scene, Mike says he's finally cool with Marcus retiring, but in response, Marcus delivers the title line, Bad Boys for Life. So it seems like there's definitely a future for this duo, but considering that the film decided to stick with its real-life timeline, and Bad Boys for Life takes place 17 years after Bad Boys 2, it might also be time for Mike and Marcus, who are in their 50s at this point, to seriously consider taking a step back. Fans shouldn't worry though. Mike and Marcus's long-awaited comeback is just beginning to heat up. With the success of the most recent installment, the Bad Boys franchise and its stars are in it for the long haul. There were rumors floating about a Bad Boys 4 before the third film was even released, so we're sure that with this bona fide success on their hand, production will be getting started any minute now. In fact, Sony has decided to fast-track the project, so it doesn't look like we'll have to wait another 17 years for the next one. But the wait, which seems mostly due to problems finding the right writer and direction, turned out not to be so bad after all, as it resulted in the creation of an epic film that properly honored the buddy cop legacy of Mike and Marcus. Another great thing that Bad Boys for Life is going for it is that new fans of the series can enjoy the movie without having seen the first two films. So maybe the 17-year hiatus was worth it to build an audience filled with loyal fans as well as fresh ones. With the addition of all these new cast members and the uncertainty that Armando introduces to the series, we're sure that Bad Boys 4 is going to make just as big of a splash as Bad Boys for Life. And if it does just as well as the latest installment, then we can expect many more Bad Boys movies to come. The loss of Captain Howard, one of the most iconic secondary characters in the series, suggests that a big shakeup is coming with any future installments. With Rita as the new captain, things are likely going to change for Mike and Marcus. And there are still so many new questions that need to be answered. Will Armando actually turn a new leaf and become a member of AMO? Will his ruthless ways prevail and lead him to turn on his father and his team? And will Mike and Marcus ultimately decide they're getting too old for this? I guess we'll have to wait for Bad Boys 4 to find out, but at least the mid-credits scene has given us lots to think about in the meantime. And we could always indulge in a rewatch of the first two films to prepare ourselves for all of the Bad Boys action that's still to come. So, do you think the AMO team will be returning for Bad Boys 4? And do you think Armando will make a good addition to the Bad Boys team? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content.